Hey, well, welcome to the Dream Labs, Dr. Contrast Live. Well, it's good to be back on board, and I hope all is doing well. And it's going to join us. That'd be kind of neat to just go back and reestablish some basic fundamental things in terms of just ground rule sketches, just sketches in terms of real rapid thumbnail studies here on SUVs and sedans and coupes. I haven't done that in a while. I'd go back and just a little refresher on some things about staining things in surface work, high contrast areas, and put a lot of sketch rendering pieces together. It's got a little bit of a story here. So I kind of laid these out a little bit ahead of time to kind of get the rhythm started here today. And just want to take a moment here to thank everybody thus far for tuning in over the last couple of days on some of the programming. Hey, Chip, how are you? Welcome aboard, Chip. Are you working today, or you got sneaking one in again? It's good to have you on board. Hey, how you doing, Shadow? Listen, I need to chat with you after I'm done here today, Shadow. So thanks for tuning in, and always good to have you on board. And thanks so much, guys. Again, it was just interesting to go back over the last couple of days about going through some landscape work and some other materials in terms of things to do, good stuff to work with. I think there's a nice flexibility to kind of change pace with, but I thought I'd come back just a little bit. Not that the automobile thing is really the crutch I depend all my streams on. I mean, I like to move things around, as you well know, but I think just some basic fundamental thinking here today about getting forms down and some little concept sketch work and keeping them rapid and fresh is to be very unique. So I'm going to go through a couple of exercises here today with these pieces, SUVs and coupes and sedans, and just interesting how it all, horrible tomato. Hey, hi, Doc. Hey, thank you very much. Good to have you on board. First time chat. Thank you so much, Horrible Tomato. I really appreciate you joining forces with me on Twitch. And if you have any questions throughout this discourse today, feel free to fire my way. I'll do the best I can to answer them. So very good. Thank you so much. Excellent, gang. So I want to work today with some Copic, just some value grays and maybe a little bit of color here and there, some marker work, and also just Prismacolor color pencil sketches. Highlight some of the forms and some of the subtleties that get involved in doing some of this detail work. So let's kind of get started here, and we'll just start with a couple of SUV platforms here. Just going to get some staining in here. A little bit of interior work. I'll come back and tune in this stuff as we go here. Just knocking out some of the glass graphics. Getting it set up here. Just stain that in. I'll come back in a minute here and just put a bit of highlight to this thing. A more character to it. Let's see the basic start here. A little bit of a pillar detail. A little bit of seating work here and header. So there's a little bit of a start there. Let's come back in and get this guy started. Let's be a little daring here. Let's do a little bit of accent color right from the get-go. Let's get this rocker panel kind of kick for us here. Being very quick, making some very fast decisions with the marker in hand, because the more you hesitate with this thing, boy, the more disturbing it can become. So a little bit of color accent down below here just to get us started, and really looking cool here as far as now. We'll come back in and just do a little bit of surface work here first. Let's go back and I'm going to work with some Prismacolor pencil and just pick up some what I refer to as line weight thrust. We come back in and pick up some of these areas here that really begin to kind of sing for us here. Picking up line weight, going thick, back to thin, let it disappear a little bit. Let's put a little bit of graphics in here, in that header. Get a little bit of that glass, some reflection stuff here coming through the actual body form itself. Add a little bit more detail on some of the glass graphics. High contrast. This represents horizon line off the paper coming back in and putting a bit of impact to the sketch itself. Let's come back down through here. A little softness. And again, let's take that down. Run that right through just a touch into that former. And come back in through here. Just accenting certain things here. Let's go back and pick up that far side lamp. It's in this front end graphics here. A lot of time doing drawing work over the foundation here. Makes a huge difference. So we come back in and just pick up more shadow in this grill texture. Pick up a little bit of spark in this thing. Really delicate. Just kind of come through a little bit of line work on the back end, 3/4 of this thing. Get into play here. Oh, let me bring this down here. How are we doing here, gang? So far, so good. Making sense? Real subtle. Not a lot of push. Bring that horizon line right through. Get a bit of line thrust up front in the pillar area there. And just switching gears a little bit. Let's add a little bit of this. Let's add this. Nice and simple. Not a lot of fuss. Very simple graphics. At the same time, hopefully enough of a melody here to kind of get this thing to kind of work for us here. Really very interesting on a texture work here. So often we don't get into a lot of things, for example, where we really, hey, how you doing there, Chip? Yeah, okay, thanks very much. Good to have you on board here, Doctor. Just real simple sketches. I thought it was kind of neat after we went through some of the landscape material, just looking at certain form studies here and how to put it all together. Notice, when you work with this stuff, especially as delicate as pencil work is, really kind of hammer home the fact that you're up front here, a lot of line weight changes. There it is. Run that through. Back in again, in the pillar here. Maybe just a more thickness in here. Take that back. A little more definition in the horizon line. And again, just enough, and enough reflection in the mirror. And now come back in through here. Let's do this. Let's kind of take this thing here and come back in and just pick a little bit of tint on this thing. So pick up some of that ground reflection, a bit more gray added in this thing. Wrong color there. Let's go back to a number 2. Get this in place. Yeah, that's better. A little bit more of a ground tint, reflecting some of that shadow work in here. And see what happens here. Get this all put together. Yeah, it's better. Notice how it just changes the tint enough. A little bit of that ground reflection, that shadow, back up in the form itself. Just little things like that. So, what do you think, gang? Making sense? Just nice and simple, very graphic. Not a lot of fuss. I think a sketch, above all else, sketches should have that certain flavor about it that just looks like it's spontaneous. When you begin to force it and get too rigid with it, unless you're doing a final illustration, that's another matter altogether, I'm sure. But just subtle changes like that can make a big difference. And little touches like this, too, can make a big difference as well. You come back in and just add a little bit of graphics in this thing here. And again, a little bit of sky down below. Just simplest touches. Maybe a bit more in the crescent here. Bring that back into play just a touch. Look how simple that is. But yet it has a certain melody about it, I hope. It kind of gives us a little bit of character what we're after. They're just a very simple push. And again, let me just kind of get this guy lined up here. Just little details like that. Maybe a little bit of an offset. And a bit of an offset. And a little bit more tint right back in here behind that wheel structure. Just take it from dark to light. Very simple, angular stroke. Let's bring that right through just a bit more. Yeah, and that just about does it for sketch number one. What do you think there, gang? Helping here, notice how much paper is working there. I'm just catching some of the reflective side on the far side of the hood, coming back to light source side, and just tinting in very simply. Let's go back into this for a moment here. One more time, just to show you. The side of that pencil, come right back in, over the top, very delicate. Run that pencil stroke right through there, and just kind of mend it all together and just mesh it. Come back in through here, a little bit of that return. Underneath here, or that return, and just let it kind of meld into that front end form. There it is, very delicate. There it is, simply done, and hopefully it gets the job done for us here. Now let's go back in and get the same thing started over here. Now let's go back and get this guy. Same set of circumstances, just kind of put a little bit of tint in this thing. A little bit of some different surface work, but the process will remain the same, like we've always done in the past streams. There's a certain method to this stuff. Once you get a pattern down, the forms will change, but some of the patterns that we see will always remain pretty consistent. Paper, yeah, it really does. 9% of the work there, Chip. You got it. The paper is the whole key to it all. So let's go back in here, get this guy down. Go to the header. Let's save a little bit of that pillar. Down a little bit of the seating side, and then there, over the top of the cowl, far side pillar, tinted in, and there's a start right there. A bit of this off the side of the wheel, little accent piece, a la maybe Aston Martin, some sort. Bit of graphics in the backlight there. A little more boldness in the actual hub change. It's real simple touches. Let's take this in now. Let's go back and do the same thing again with this guy. Let's get this guy lined up here. Let's get my hands here. Pardon me, I turn this down just a bit here. A bit of this graphics put in place. Sharpen the stick a little bit here. Ooh. Oh, hey, very good, Tamil. Very good. Thanks for that commentary. I think that's interesting. I mean, I do a lot of the, I do some digital work as well, but I think the handcrafted stuff to me sometimes is far more fascinating to watch. And I'm sure you're very capable of the digital side of life, and I hope this has helped you. Maybe when you go back and look at some of the work you're doing digitally, this process might help you a little bit as far as line weight, surface, and tone and like kind of come together for you. But I'm really pleased you're on board today, and I can't thank you enough for joining forces and watching and becoming a follower on Twitch. Hope I can be of any assistance to you. Please, if there are things, for example, horrible to me that you want to work with or have some questions about for future reference, please call me up or drop me a note at jim@drcontrast.com. And I'll be more than happy to help you. Be fun to do so. Let's get a little bit of weight change in here. Let's get these lines up on top. This very strong, harsh, hard edge up on the hood surface. Let's follow that right through. Over on this side, into center line. And again, same process. Turn this upside down for a moment here. Thank you. Get that to set. I'm back in again. And a bit of shadow side here. Soften that off just a bit. Get that design line in there. Take that over the top of this crest. Let me get this in form here. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. And again, a little bit of touch of go here. A bit of glass graphics in this guy. And there's another little study there, just phase number 2. What do you think there, gang? Coming together for you, making sense? Just a nice simple gesture sketch here. Let me add something here I forgot to do here. And let's add to it as we go here. Let's kind of finish this pillar work off here, get this daylight opening addressed. And again, I want to point out here, the purpose of this stream today is not too much about getting into design, for example, but just how to work with certain forms and how to let the paper do the work for us. Like you pointed out there, Chip, it's just amazing how much work the paper will do for you without plugging it all up and getting it all messed up with certain overabundance of media. Things like this can become kind of interesting. We actually drop the shadow in here, put a little bit of this into it. And again, just an indication of some real subtle changes. Doesn't take much. And there it is, gang. Just a nice little series of sketches here. Doc is a master of the physical and actually pretty damn good on the digital, but he teaches all day. Well, I hope I'm making some sense here, gang, as we go through this whole process. It's just amazing to me that, you know, the digital work, I don't mind doing it at all, but most of my client base, when I do work with individuals, for example, I work with Shadow and other individuals, it really just comes down to handcrafted stuff, and I think it's much more immediate. And again, Orbital Tomato, don't misunderstand. What your craft is absolutely sensational. I admire what you do. I think it's a matter of getting down to time and essence for me, and client base is much more tuned into some of the crafted work that we're involved in here, and that's about it. So. But I'm not opposed at all to the digital world. I think this kind of information, I transfer that into the digital world, keeping things simple, very direct, and non-cluttered. Huge difference. And you can do so many neat things with the digital process, which I'm very much aware of. So that's cool. We're just going to put a couple of cut lines in here. We'll get this on our way. And so there, into that bill of body form. So there we are. There's another little study. Just in black and white, just a nice simple graphics of getting tones down, letting the surfaces work, and just really being very, very forthright with the fact that, you know, let the sketch do the work for you. It doesn't take an awful lot, just very melodic, very simple, very honest. And I think that's the thing I think is unique about the sketch rendering process, where it comes down to. Let me just add a little bit of definition here, a little bit of, oh, you go, there it is. It's a guilty party. That's one. Now let's go move along here. We're just moving right along. That's the first one. We'll come back to that in review in a minute here. Then another little pilot series here of some little sketch rendering stuff. Same process again. Let me just kind of go back and get this set up here. Again, just a 3/4 front. This is more of a coupe variation. It's a sport machine, but just another same kind of flavor we're going to work with here. Let's come back in and get some of this stuff really activated here. Let's go back and I'll find the right combination of, here we are. Let's go back a little deeper with this guy. And stain this in, get a nice solid block of shape here. Let's do this. All hard graphic points set up here for a bit. And we'll start to bring it all together, hopefully. And while we're at it, I'm gonna give this thing a little bit of glass graphics here. Let's do a little bit of this, some investigative stuff. Let's get a little bit of this toned in here, a bit more marker work to get some surface change. And now let's put a little bit of powder to this thing. Let's go back and switch gears here. Let's go back in and begin to do this. Let's upside down for a moment, pardon me. A line thrust up front here. There we go. Now I'm really forcing the weight into this wax to get that distinction, that body roll coming underneath the form here, and just getting this thing to kind of read a little bit. Keeping, again, very simple. Letting the work kind of, let the paper do the work for me. This very round organic tail section in here. Get that all squared away. Get that all done. Let's move this back just a bit more. And just for fun here, let's kind of put a little bit of a spark line in this thing here. A bit of offset. Offset. A little bit more horizon line inside the form itself in the glass. And back to the red. Let's sharpen this up a bit here. Actually coming in, guys, pretty good. Making sense for us here. Hope so. Just sketches. Just a bit here. Grab this pencil here again. We'll just kind of sharpen some things up and move ahead with this guy. What do you think, guys? Is it reading pretty nicely? I mean, just a nice little simple form here, but I think just a lot of delicateness in terms of getting a lot of light to dark and some of that flooded light coming back off of the shape here, off the body side, the roll under. So just kind of fill it in just a bit more and just end up right there. That's good. Just a little more surface there. There it is. Up over the top of that crown, that radius. And again, let's just bring this in just a touch more. That thing to set up this nice little graphic. There it is. Brings that upper right back into the form itself. So what do you think, guys? Kind of coming pretty good. Let's do a little bit of this. Let's get a little bit of this in here, accent in there. A little bit of that accent in there. Accent, 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 and accent. Just a touch more of that. Just a touch more. Just there, there, and there. And let the rest of this go. Let's kind of get this far side tire in place here. And I think that's going to call, oh, let's do this. Sorry about that. Let's get this pillar in place here. Bring that back just a bit. And get a little bit of shadow in this guy. And lo and behold, there we are, gang. That's it. What do you think? So far, so good. I mean, there's a little progression here. Where we start with some SUV work, and look if we can get them all on the screen here or not, but let's try that. Yeah, barely. Again, what do they all have in common? Very simple graphics. Picking up features and making sure that you see what the message is. I mean, no need to clutter it up. If the surfaces are very, very, very voluptuous, very sheer, or very organic, very big difference in terms of putting together the forms. So I think, again, a lot more elaboration in the upper, the coupe variation here, the supercar, because it's got a lot more character to it. And you have got a lower stance, a little bit wider, a little guttier, but again, you give more of an impact to it. But these guys, they're very sheer looking, they're very, very massive in terms of let the surfaces do the work for it. You don't need to fill it all in. It's just a simple matter of getting some of the shapes down and then moving it from there. So, and so there's another one here. Let's go back to this guy just for a bit. Just a real quick little theme study on this guy here. Just going to break this up. A little bit of marker work. It's kind of staining some areas here. Real quick. Some idea what the surfaces are doing. And there we are. It's going to bring this right on through. Kind of break the shape up a little bit. Okay, let's go to a wider brush here. Get this on in. Pardon me for moving this foam around here a little bit, guys. It just makes it easier to kind of fill in the blanks for me here. Let's bring that home a little bit. High contrast areas first. Again, pardon me for moving it around a little bit. I want to make sure we get it all filled in. Think about therapeutic. Well, that's fun. Let's get that all squared away first. We'll kind of designate where that's going to be in a moment here. So when I get the high contrast areas in first. A lot of graphics here, no problem. We'll get this straightened away to finesse it in just a moment here. Over there. Let's get this guy tuned in just a bit. Okay, there's some graphics there to kind of contend with. So let's take a look at, let's take the next step into this thing. and put it all down the line here. Let's get the glass to work here. At the same time, let's put a little sky tone in these guys. All right, just some basic surface work right there. So you're gonna get the form down, and we're gonna go back in and add a little bit of definition now. Let's go back in and get this thing to run. Simple forms. Get the shadow inside that box, intake. Let's go along here with a little bit of that edge. Get that surface to kind of sneak in there for us. Let's kind of just tint this, let's tint these surfaces in where we need to hit them, and let the rest just go. Let's see if we can get this back to square here. All right. Sedans sports cars and nuclear power pencil. Yeah, there it is. Pretty neat, Chip. I'm glad you're still with us. You doing all right? That's cool to have you on board here, guys. Let's kind of get these guys to run here just a bit. A little bit of graphics inside the glass. Pardon me, I'll just have to bring this back up to speed in a moment here, guys. Let me just get some of this graphics in place here. And we'll get all this squared away. There it is. Let's go back into here. And again. Sharpen the stick a little bit here. Just come along and just get this drop off here. We'll strong design line. We'll place that in there. That's a little simple study here, and just putting some of the forms together. Just kind of put a little bit of tinted this thing. Just a bit more surface work. Take that on through. And a little bit of glass graphics here. And last but not least, more definition in here. Quick little sketches here. Just looking at just sketches, just getting surfaces down. Very empathic, very quick. But hopefully get the job done as far as just putting enough information in your sketches or work to get this thing to read, and let it go at that. So I'm gonna stop right there for a second. There's phase two. What do you think, gang? Coming together all right? I mean, just very simple shapes. No, look like proper, yeah, proper Lambo. Yeah, it could be it. That's not bad. Look at that's cool. But again, just high graphics in terms of getting things simplified. And again, notice a lot of paper coming through, very spontaneous sketches, looking at graphics. And I think that's a good point to bring up at this stage of the game too. A lot of this really comes down to learning how to put together patterns. What are the patterns of surfaces? What are the surface patterns of a round shape as opposed to a shear shape? Once you get a pattern down, you begin to magnify that and work with it and really do some interesting things with the actual shapes that you're dealing with themselves. So I think that was, again, the reason today for me to go back to the streaming of just doing some very simple just sketches and that kind of work, to get those things to kind of come together for us in terms of putting together what to do, what not to do. I mean, I'm prone to make a lot of mistakes. I do all the time, but I'm still looking at the fact that I'm learning how to begin to adjust certain things, where to put the emphasis, where to leave it alone. And so, Horrible Tomato, you still with us there? Hope this is making some sense for you. I really appreciate you joining forces with me today. It's great. So please, any commentary at all here, guys? Again, the whole purpose was just to get some of these surfaces down and keep them simple, but at the same time, tell a story in terms of being very rapid, extremely committed, and understandable. So let me just kind of nail this down here, and we'll put this together, sign it again. So there's two. Let's just go back along here. I brought this along too. It just might be interesting for you to look at. Here's a little rough sketch that I always start with, for example. I'll just start out with a page of compositions like this. And for what it's worth, we'll just kind of walk through some things here. This is really a rough little pencil sketch that I put together prior to putting the stream together. And just kind of tells a story about where to place certain things in emphasis here. And primary line drawing work. And I think just for what it's worth, you can come back in with something as lucid as this and just come back in and say, okay, maybe enough of that is this. Just to bring it up a page. And there you go, a little thumbnail sketch. There it is. Just how sometimes I just like to work. Just get some basic themes down, put a little thumbnail sketch together, and then he'll roll through it and begin to really work with some of the things that we're dealing with here, and fun stuff. So let me wrap up here. Let me just sign this guy, and we'll try to move this thing along. Hope everybody okay. Chip, you still with us? Horrible Tomato, what do you think? Has this been helpful to you? I hope all the digital work you're doing, I think it's great that you're involved in that, and I am grateful for the fact that you're joining with me today in the stream. It's been fun to have you on board. There we go. There's another little thumbnail start. That's how I like to work with certain things. Now, last but not least, just got to just put together a little bit of a theme sketch here, and we'll get out of this really quickly. And let me move this into here. Some possible sedans, and looking back to SUV again, just for what it's worth here. So let's go back and look at this guy. A bit of accent color in here, keeping it very simple. Some line weight study here, just kind of bring this together, a little bit of line. This just a bit. And last but not least, a little bit of this touch to it, and we're home. A little bit of sky tone, a bit of glass, and just a little bit back here. And I think that's going to just give us a little bit of time here to kind of do the following. And we shall wrap this guy up. There you go. There's a series of sketches here that are just really just interesting how it all comes together as far as form goes. And I just want to keep them very, very linear, very simple. Went back to some basic thinking. Hey, thanks very much, Chip. Good to have you back on board. And Horrible Tomato, you still there? What do you think? Shadow, any form there at all that you're kind of dealing with and interesting that you're seeing? Just fun to work with, getting some graphics down, keeping the paper simple. And again, I've always said this, and I think it's really something that's really interesting to hang on to as well. What really makes it all work is just good drawing. I mean, I'm still learning. I'm sure all of you are. Drawing to me is the secret to success. If you have a real solid drawing, you have much more confidence in working with it. It takes an incredible amount of time to adjust certain things. Or if you've got a great drawing to work with, that just solves a multitude of sins. So let me go back and review here where we are. Go back real quickly, and we'll just run you through these guys. So we started with a series of sketches here. SUVs, Coupes, Sedans, and Coupes. Start with a very simple graphic, just a black and white little line study, a little bit of color added. That's going to change the theme a little bit. So again, the whole theme today is to let the paper breathe for you. Don't let the drawing do the work, but let the paper breathe. Very, very subtle in some areas and very bold in others. High contrast is the secret to it all, obviously. So that was the first sketch we laid out. We went to this, changed the little stick form here with a red pencil, same technique. The same approach, a lot of paper, very simple, good line drawing to kind of put it all together for us, and just followed through with again the paper breathing through and laying that and a metallic surface that'll actually act as a reflection. So that's the rationale behind that little process there. So that was sketch number 2. Third one I just brought up, there's my thinking sketches. I kind of put together a whole bunch of composition stuff like this. I went through a whole series of just adding some graphics to them and putting some impact and kind of decide where I want to take it. Do I want to really emphasize one or the other? Begin to look at these sketches from that point of view, and then put together a format for my Tuesday and Thursday programs. And the last one we did was, again, going back to just traditional thinking in terms of being very high contrast, very simple, a lot of paper, again, high contrast graphics, getting the darkest darks next to the lightest lights and really punching that thing off the paper. So I hope that's been helpful to you. And really, if I have any questions or concerns, I really would appreciate it, especially if let's see, Horrible Tomato, just drop me a note at my website at jim@drcontrast.com. By the way, where are you from if you're still on board there, Horrible Tomato? Just good to have you on board, and Chip as well. Super to have you guys. And Shadow, always good to have you on board as well. So if you have a moment, just drop me a line at my email address at jim@drcontrast.com. I'd love to hear from you. Kind of put some pieces together for you, and if I could be of any help in certain programs to work with you, I'd be happy to do that. And again, take a look at my website at drcontrast.com. There's a whole series of, for example, Horrible Tomato, there's a lesson plan there of 9 basic drawing systems that might be of some help to you. Let me know what you think, or if you take a peek at it, and check out on my website at drcontrast.com. I'm also, my Twitch programs are there, my YouTube uploads are there, and also my Instagram is there as well. So really grateful to have you on board today, gang. Hope this has been helpful. Been a lot of fun to go right back to basics here. So maybe on the Thursday we'll kind of switch gears again and go into something a little bit different. But I just felt after last Thursday's setup, just kind of go back to some basic fundamental thinking of high contrast, good sketch work, good high contrast graphics, and keeping things simple, and to magnify the whole process. So there we are, gang. Thank you so much for joining forces today. Really good. Thanks, Chip. Really good to have you back on board. Thanks for joining forces today. And again, Horrible Tomato, Shadow, always great to have you guys on board. And again, welcome aboard, Horrible Tomato. And thank you for signing up and following me on Twitch. So good to have you on board, and take care, gang. And I always close with this. I think it's the most important part of the entire presentation. Never forget to dare to remember, to dare to be great, because you are. It's terrific. So thanks very much, gang. Have a great day. We'll hopefully see you on Thursday. Bye-bye now.